Hi, everyone. I am so excited to talk about brand art. It is my baby. I'm going to get right to it. I am figuring this out on the go, so we're going to see what happens. I think I had a clicker. I'm so sorry.
I have the clicker.
Ellie has a clicker.
There we go.
Okay, so my name is June, and I'm the creative media lead. And just to briefly explain creative media, it's basically marketing. So we handle all the blog posts, the graphic design, video editing, and brand art.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me okay? My name is Ellie. I am a brand artist for Toontown Written. I'm also the art director for ToonFest and was recently promoted to creative media coordinator.
And hello, I'm Little. I'm a render artist on the team, and Ellie was the one that trained me. I have done many things with posters and trading cards, and I've also worked on the website a few times as well. And if June, you wanna take it away?
I don't know what I'm taking away, but I'm taking it away.
I'm pretty sure it's you.
So something like I want to share, I finally have a fun fact. So my fun fact is Ellie was my first person to train to learn brand art, and
Little was the first person that I ever trained to do brand art. So we got the train chain going on over here.
Yeah. Yeah.
You ready?
All right, so just to start off, what is brand art? So we are in charge of creating all the merchandise you guys see, so I hope you have been really enjoying what you've been seeing this weekend so far. Yeah, and we're also in charge of all the marketing, so all of the field office page, our ToonFest pages, the website banner, and all the little itty-bitty tunes and cogs that we put in all of our blog posts. So that is our marketing side. It won't let me click. Oh no!
My fault. So we actually have 3 different types of brand artists on the team, and the first one is called a sketch artist. So a sketch artist is going to create ideas through sketches that will later be what we call rendered, or as some may refer to it, colored, by either a render artist or a brand artist. So sketch artists only go through the thumbnail and sketch process. They don't actually get into the coloring of the tune or cog or environment. So as you can see, we've got Riggy Marole here as an example, as a sketch I did back in 2019. That stage is as far as a sketch artist would go.
And so this is where I would come into play. So as a render artist, we would get sketches from either a sketch artist or a brand artist, and we would go through and finalize the sketch with coloring and shading. And a brand artist can also do this, but it also helps to have more hands on deck, to have render artists, so brand artists can do many things at once.
And lastly, brand artists, which is what started it all. So we basically do everything. We sketch and then we finish, but we also collaborate a lot on this team. So sometimes I might sketch something and I'm like, I don't have time, so I pass it on to someone else. And something that we noticed, so sketch artists and render artists started a little later in its life, I believe 22. We'll get more into that, but we noticed in the community some people really liked drawing in the brand art style, but they didn't feel confident finishing it. And then there's other people, I've seen so many of you guys really creative with this, replicating the style. And so I was like, wow, we should probably create a split role so someone can only do one or the other. Let's see what vocabulary we have with Little.
Oh boy. So this can go into for brand art and render artist, sketch artist. So we have different vocabulary just to help us, like, oh, if we're trying to describe something, it's like, oh, can you do this, this, and this? So pretty self-explanatory. So as you can see, we have like Mickey lines, which are the 2 little lines that you'll see on gloves. Oh my God, a light show. And so for tune heads, majority of the time, we'll just use eggheads because, I mean, that's what they look like in games.
If you can actually see that screenshot of Photoshop, it's just an actual image of an egg taken from Google that we drew a deer over top of.
Yeah.
We just kind of make fun of deer, and we just say deer tunes have eggheads.
Yeah. And so for very specific species of tunes, for bear, for example, they have what we call donut ears because it's very, very round, like a donut. And so we also do bean bodies and sausage fingers, which are very much like...
Just like we like to draw the shape of a bean to get us started on drawing tune bodies, so we'll call them bean bodies. And then tunes have very round cylindrical fingers, so we call them sausage fingers.
And the bean method is actually a very real term that is actually used in the animation industry as well. So the snippet that you see right here is actually from a sketch guide that we created for whenever we onboard a new artist onto the team and they want to learn the style. We actually have a full guide for them. And who wants to see a new brand art? Woo! So we decided to work on showing you from start to finish a little speed paint, and it's our brand art process of Paula Bear. I actually did this from start to finish, but we'll be commentating on the video because it's like 6 minutes long. So before we dive in, what we do is thumbnails, and these are my very messy sketches, and it's just to quickly get down a pose and be like, okay, like, what ideas are we thinking? Like, we were thinking polar bear with like a bunch of presents, maybe like with the coffee, and then a wreath, like just poking her head through, and then we ended up actually landing on the 4th one. So sometimes we go through a lot of different ideas before we land on something. And, oh, it's starting already, but here we go. So here's me drawing in Photoshop. Let me know if you can't hear me or anything, because I know the music might be loud. But here's our donut ears, and this is going fast. I wish I could draw this fast. I would probably be so rich if I could, but Little and Ellie probably will step in as well. But this is basically the sketch of after the thumbnail was approved, and we just dive right in.
Yeah, and you can see she's kind of like, we use a tool in Photoshop called the lasso tool where you could basically like circle something and move it around so you can see like, oh, I like how I drew the shape of the foot, but I don't think the foot is in the right position, so I'll move it around a little bit. And she's drawing in pink over top of the bear, so you can visualize like where the clothes would sit on the body rather than them all being in the same color.
And you can see the bean body really come into play here too.
Yeah. I am so sorry for anyone who might be sensitive. This is very sped up, but I do something. So in art, we sometimes do something called mirroring, and it's to just make sure the proportions look good on both ends. So it's a really neat trick. Fun fact, when people were doing it, like, I mean, not that people aren't doing traditional art now, but one trick that you can do if you're doing traditional art is actually point it into the mirror, and then you can kind of see visually how it would look proportionally on the other side. Yeah, so here's me drawing some hands.
Yeah, there's the sausage fingers.
Yep. And the lines too.
And the Mickey lines.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. I went on Discord during this part. So enjoy that random pause.
Yeah, it's the brand artist special is sketch one tiny piece and then get distracted by YouTube for 10 minutes.
Yep. So some things that I do personally when I draw, I almost never draw the arms first. I actually draw the hands. Because a trick that I've learned through my years of drawing, I am watching this video. Some tricks that I've learned over my years of learning how to draw, if I don't know, like, it is easier to draw the hands so you know how to attach the arms actually to the body, and it helps with the proportions and everything. So here's me like redrawing over my first pass of my sketch. So we redraw over and over sometimes to get it really right. I remember right here, I was trying to figure out like how the face would actually look because I wasn't exactly 100% satisfied. I apparently disappeared again. So then I moved my eyebrow away. That eyebrow's not going to stay there. So.
You can see her also kind of using what we call like the warp tool, where like I like the shape of the ear, but I wish it was like a little bit wider. You can use like the warp tool to kind of like stretch it out a little bit. You can see her moving around her canvas a lot. Sometimes she's even drawing like upside down.
Yeah. I have to imagine it like a piece of paper. So I do a lot of tricks in Photoshop with this. I love the sassy pose of my reference of Paula Bear on the left. Maybe it's your right, actually.
Yeah.
I believe that was actually created, that was a graphic created by Lav. I think 2019. Someone's gonna have to fact check me there. But here's the feet, they're coming alive again. And I always draw my bodies first. Like I draw it all the way. I don't draw the clothes actually until like, the clothing is actually the last step I almost always do. Because I find that if I know how it looks under the body, apparently I disappeared again. I feel like this is the last time I disappeared. I always draw a lot of the body to get the shape, and then the clothing kind of just fits right away. Yeah, so here's Paula Bear. I was like, I don't like the muzzle, too ugly, so I decided to change it.
Yeah, and we often do like multiple sketches. Like we'll do, like she did a first pass sketch, which was like a little bit rougher. Now you can see she's going in and drawing the sausage fingers again, just to like a little bit of a cleaner sketch over top of your messy sketch. So it's rarely ever just like a one and done sketch. It's more so like we do it like 2 or even 3 times until it's clean.
Yeah, and right here we're getting the Christmas tree in. And actually, we're almost done. Just got to get that tree, and then we're going to give her some clothes so she's no longer naked.
And why do you draw the tree in pink rather than the same color as Paula Bear?
I actually drew this in pink mostly so I could visually see it, because if I keep drawing all in black, it gets very hard for me to visually see everything, which is actually why I drew, like, it's more of a visual thing for me. You don't have to do it. Oh my gosh, I thought I was done disappearing apparently. I swear I watched this video. But I draw the pink just to visually see, and because if everything is black, it gets very hard for me to understand like where things start separating. So I see it more of like, here's an object on like a character kind of thing. And as you can see, I redrew these hands multiple times. Hands are actually one of my biggest struggles, not gonna lie.
I was gonna say, I don't know if anybody in the crowd also likes to draw, but yeah, show of hands, anybody else?
Woo!
Like,
Look at you guys go! Oh my God.
Aren't hands one of the hardest things to draw? Yes.
Yeah.
Honestly, I really like drawing hands. It's one of my favorite things. I know, it's crazy.
I actually like drawing the Toon feet the most.
No, it's
feet.
satisfying.
Yeah.
So we're almost done with the sketch here. We're just getting some clothes on. As you can see, she's drawing them in pink to kind of separate them from the rest of the body.
Yes, and I remember redrawing the skirt multiple times just to see how it would flow, so we're not like, seeing anything that we shouldn't be seeing. But yeah, this is like how it all comes together. And right here, I actually use a mask tool just to kind of like see the body underneath it all the way, just in case I need to reference it when I'm actually on the render stage. And this is the end of the sketch. Oh, thank you. Thank you. So here's Paula Bear. I think that's how you say her name. So once we finish with the sketch, we move on to rendering. And sometimes, oh, it went. So what I do, I actually almost never draw with a white background. First of all, it hurts my eyes. I'm a dark mode user no matter where, if I can. Yeah, so sorry, light mode users. I make my canvas a little dark. I move things around, and also it helps me visually see where all of the white is. You probably saw at the beginning, like right here, I did it a different color. I promise her ear will not stay green. But that was because she is such a white toon that I had to like kind of visually remember where my shapes were sitting.
Yeah, and we use what's called the pen tool in Photoshop, which makes everything in vector, so that way we can easily resize images, because sometimes we need really small images like our trading cards, and sometimes we need really large images like that giant banner we have at our booth. So working in vector helps us to be able to resize things from really small to really big without losing any quality.
It helps also with easily changing colors and just like a pinch. Like instead of having to redo the entire thing, you can just be like, oh, pick from the color wheel, and oh, if I want it to be like white to pink, I can easily do it.
And I can actually see some differences in how June and I do things while I watch this. Because,
Yeah.
because June, it seems she likes to shade as she goes, whereas I like to do the whole image flat color first and then shade over top of that. So
I'm not like other brand artists.
Honestly, I do the same thing too, because in my mind I'm like, oh, I would love to do the full flat, but then after a while I'm like, I kind of want to see how the shading would look, get some ideas going. I'll come back to it. If it doesn't look good, always can go and change it back.
I kind of started mostly because there is a formula to how we are shading, especially muzzles. If you pay attention, you probably have noticed that it's like almost the same direction every time. So I have that memorized off the top of my head. So I almost always dive in and do that and get that going. So we are working on the tree trunk right here. I remember actually struggling with this because I didn't know which direction to go, because sometimes we do a mix of adding line art and shading, but I went way more on a shading direction. This is my only time I get to really experiment with my art, and here I am opening up Illustrator because I cannot draw a star, so Illustrator is doing it for me. And you can see that I went back and forth on this multiple times because I hated my stars. But Illustrator came in clutch. I don't know if Little and Ellie use it, but I've been utilizing Illustrator a lot with creating shapes because you can actually transfer it from Illustrator to Photoshop.
Was anybody here at ToonFest 2019? Do you guys
Oh,
remember?
hello.
Do you guys remember when we showed the speed art of the Silly Meter poster?
Yeah,
I
okay.
think this is actually the first speed art we've done since then.
Yes. This time not in my college dorm. So one of the tricky things I actually found with this is because she is so white, it was trying to like figure out how to make the contrast work and making sure everything stuck out. Here's our donut ears. It was really a big challenge for me to figure out how to make this work visually, because honestly, this is the first time I think we've ever made a white toon. So it's a lot of blues.
The only other one I think is the polar bear on the winter version of our banner. Of
Oh
our
yeah,
website
yeah,
banner.
you're right.
Yeah.
See, I had to get fact checked.
I only know that because I did the re-render of it in 2021. So.
Oh, and I'm so excited because after this, we're going to start going into more of some of our past art. So there's more to this.
Yeah. Would you guys like to see some scrapped brand art that we've never shown you before? Yeah.
That's next. We're
Yeah.
almost done with this one.
Yeah.
I wish I was faster. I'm so sorry. I guess I'm just too slow.
Action takes time.
I know.
Yeah, these pieces can take us anywhere from like, I don't know, I would say a finished piece like this would probably take me anywhere from like 4 to 6 hours probably.
Mm-hmm.
This one actually took me only 5 hours.
5 hours, yeah.
But it was on and off. Like, I walked away and would come back because, unfortunately, I have to sometimes be a cog and go to work. So I would step away. Here we are shading the tree, which is almost the last bit. I believe I added some stuff that wasn't recorded towards the end, was just some final edits that I did. So just trying to get all that in, some highlights in, just to make the tree really pop. And speaking of popping, the lights are popping. Yeah, this is really exciting to see all come together from this perspective.
And sometimes you'll see a little panel that'll pop up, and those are what we call, oh my god, what is it?
Layer effects?
Yeah, layer effects. And sometimes we don't have to do the shading ourselves. Sometimes we go into that little pop-up, and it'll just, we mess with the settings a little bit. They'll have like drop shadows and like
Glow
inner
or
bevel,
inner
all that
shadow.
type of
Yeah.
stuff. So we don't have to do the work. It's sometimes we still have to mess with it, but majority of the time it will help us with like gradients and stuff like that.
Work
Yeah.
smarter, not harder.
So true. Honestly, all artists cheat. Don't worry.
And sometimes we even have to do these really tedious details by hand. As you know, Little has worked a lot with wood patterns. You can see June is doing all of those little individual wood lines by hand here. So it can be very tedious to do those tiny little details.
Way to call me out on the wood.
So this one is just about wrapped up, and this is where we end. And here's the final product. Woo! Coming soon to a blog post near you, possibly.
Yeah, so now we'll just get into some more stuff about brand art. So one of the most important parts about brand art and just any art in general is the critiquing process. It is very rare that we ever just draw something and then we go, okay, yep, it's all done, just put it on the blog post. We usually go through many, many different artists' eyes looking at a piece. So critiquing is one of the most important parts of the process, and we use many different techniques, such as what we call redlining, value checks, which is basically where you put like gray over top of the whole image and see how close those grays are to each other. And then flipping our canvas, like June said, if you flip your canvas, if you mirror it and it looks a little wonky, then you might have to flip it back and fix something. And one piece of our brand art is rarely ever worked on or looked at by one person. Even like one tune could go through several different people, and sometimes our posters go through as many as like 5, 6, or 7 brand artists working on them.
Especially the posters.
Yeah.
It could go through the entire team, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like this is an example of a red line. So like when an artist takes a piece of work, they kind of like turn down the opacity, take a red pencil, and then it doesn't have to be red, but typically it's red, which is why we call it redlining, and sort of sketch over top of it to kind of like finesse it and show the artist what they think could be improved in the piece. And just as like a fun visual to show you guys how like far some of our pieces come in the critiquing process. I don't know if you remember, but a couple years ago, I rendered, or I sketched and rendered a holiday wallpaper that went out for Toontown Rewritten. And this is what it looked like before any critiques. The background was a little dull. Some of the character faces don't look quite right to me. The values are a little too close together. And this is what it looked like after all critiques, the final product. So it almost completely changed. The background is completely different. The cogs all have different faces. Even though it's like the same image, it's crazy to me to see how much a piece can change from start to finish. And this piece, actually, I spent 2 years working on this.
We kind of abandoned it a little bit,
Yeah.
and I felt bad. We went back, was like, we got to rework the entire thing. So normally it's not always we have a really finished piece and we go that far in, but unfortunately Ellie was this case.
I had improved a lot over 2 years, so we wanted to fix it up.
Brand art over the years. Woo!
So we're going to talk just very briefly about Toontown Online's brand art, which I know a lot of people know and love. So Toontown Online actually used like a variety of different brand arts. Like they rarely ever stuck to one style, which was very interesting. Some of their works, such as the one you see on I think it's your right here, everybody recognizes that piece, right? We all know that iconic Toontown Online piece. It's actually quite different from the art you would see for Toontown Rewritten today. It has black outlines. The shading style is quite a bit different. The proportions are a little bit different to what we would do. But you can see some similarities in kind of like how they have really silly poses. Their facial expressions are really exaggerated. So we take inspiration from Toontown Online in that aspect. But they did have some later brand art on their website that looked very similar to what we put out today for Toontown Rewritten, and is actually what inspired Toontown Rewritten's brand art style. So the duck you see there on the left is actually Toontown Online's brand art, and the duck you see on the right is actually from Toontown Rewritten. So you can see how they have very like soft feathered shading. They don't have any outlines. There's like subtle backlighting and highlights. So this is kind of where the inspiration came from for Toontown Rewritten's brand art.
And I get to talk about our very early brand art. So I remember this was not called brand art. The art that we had from 2013 to 2016 was actually all created by our original concept artist, Katie, and AKA Piranha Artist. So Katie actually is the one who designed all of our logos for the official logos. We've definitely had a lot of team work on different logos since. But they worked a lot on all the old art, and so this is some of the style that we had. This is actually a preview of, I don't know if anyone remembers, but we once went, we're going to make a new website, and then we totally disappeared for a few years. But this was like some of the concepts that we were thinking of back then. So just to give you a little bit of a sneak peek of what could have been.
So then for the 2017 to 2020 era, we were adding a lot of new positions on the team because we needed, as the team grew and Toontown grew and grew in general, we needed a lot more things to do on the team. So we added like video editors and things like that. And one of the positions that we created was called the brand designer position, which was the very first name for the brand art position. And the title actually didn't become brand artist until 2019. It was originally a role in the art department, as it's now a role in the creative media department, and the sketch artist and render artist position actually didn't exist until 2022. This era was when our current brand art style and techniques came to be, and this was solidified by one of our art leads, Roger Dog, and of course, June here. This poster that you see was the ToonFest 2017 poster, and it was actually one of the first pieces of brand art we put out that was in the new brand art style.
I actually have one more thing to that.
Yeah.
For that poster, that was actually the first poster when we started to explore a new art style, because Katie had to take a step back because they were getting busy with real life. So this poster was actually made before the web banner, which is why the style looks so different. It's because we were playing, like we were exploring.
Mm-hmm. So the large convention banner that you can see at our booth, obviously it's iconic, we all take photos in front of it. This was actually the very first version of it, if you would believe it. I think I remember seeing June post about it and saying, okay, we need minimal critiques because we have to send this off for print in a week.
Was also told, can you copy Katie's art style? I said, sure. And then obviously I had no idea how to copy the cogs.
Yeah, but then we thought, we could probably do better. We could add more characters, we could add a more dynamic background. So this was actually what it looked like during that change. And you can see the cogs are actually like very similar to what they ended up being, where the tunes, you can probably see some, like the cat that's throwing the pie, that's very similar, whereas there's some where their pose changes quite drastically.
You see a monkey, the monkey's no longer there.
And then obviously the ToonFest convention banner, as we all know and love it.
And so brand art, the brand art role split into 3 roles: brand artist, sketch artist, and render art. And creative media department was created in 2022, and that was, I believe, in the summer of that year, because that was the year that I just joined the team. And it moved all the brand artists, or pretty much majority of the artists, into the new department. And the website banner got a new facelift to replicate our modern drawing practices. So as you can see, the difference between 2017 compared to like 2021, it's very much more sharper shading, a lot more backlighting, which you can very much more clearly see on the shorts.
Yeah, it's the same, like to a normal eye, it might not look too different, but it's just like a more modern, revamped version of the old version.
Yeah.
And then we obviously, as some of you probably know, we redid the website banner to match our 2021 branding style. The website banner downstairs is actually currently still in our 2017 branding style, but maybe stay tuned for the future on an update on that one.
And let's get to some brand art highlights. So we're going to look into some of our personal favorites, and some of this is actually stuff that hasn't been publicly shown this time around. And I swear, there is some stuff here that I know for sure you guys have not seen. So I will start with my highlights. So for me, I picked highlights that were like either pivotal to like my art career, or it created like a great bonding moment, and I'll get to that. So the field office poster was actually really hard for me to draw. This was my first time attempting a 3-point perspective, which is when your horizon line is way up there, and then you have 2-point perspective for all your artists out there. And I was struggling up the wazoo with this one. And Roger Dog, he is the one that created like the drawing style, and he's the one who trained me a lot on how to draw and learn. So he came in, he's like, I got you, I know how to draw this field office. So he drew it like this, which was so cool. And then here's some more feedback and critiques that I got. So originally we almost went like with this more dull look, and I don't like it as much, but at the time I was proud. And then of course the one next to it is our final rendition of it. There was a lot of feedback on how to make the eyes look menacing. And when we made this was what we thought the field office, like I was told that the field office was pretty much done textured, or like it wasn't going to change that much, but obviously Maya came out of nowhere and was like, I got it, I'm going to change everything. But the idea is there. So for this one has a story time, just a mini story time. So Birthday Bash. Since 2017, I worked on all of the posters by myself. And 23, Joey came up to me and said, do you want to be an art director for ToonFest? And I said, oh yeah. So unfortunately, that took my duties away. But the fortunate thing is this was the nicest thing ever. We were finally able to grow the brand art team, and we could distribute everyone. And I think they all deserve to have their moment of like being part of something and like having their own spotlight. So when we made this, the idea was to like create like a whole celebration. Some of my thumbnails are really messy, so I made all these thumbnails. Originally, I actually wanted to have a flippy, like kind of like the Macy's Thanksgiving Parade. I wanted a big flippy balloon. Didn't know who was leading it. So, and then I believe it's on the right, but I was thinking of having a flunky balloon. But yeah, so you can see some of the idea that started to go through. And then I forgot where the conversation is, but Ellie or Little might remember. But at one point, I feel like I have to out Joey. I think Joey came out with this. He was like, what if we did like a really cool like cavalcade? So actually the poster is where the the cavalcade came from.
Yeah, the cavalcade, the poster was not inspired by the cavalcade. The cavalcade was inspired by the poster, which is actually pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Oh, I can't click. So something that we wanted to make a little special, we reached out on Twitter, now X, and we were like, hey, who wants to be part of it? And we just picked random people from the community. So at this point, I was stressed, and I was like, I can't do this anymore. So this was the first time that the poster was finally worked by multiple different artists, and honestly, like, I think that's for the best at this point. I have expanded my duties at this point, so it's really nice. So I just quickly, some of these don't have finished coloring, but I was like, here's the reference, here's the color, okay, someone grab it. And like, we all were like grabbing different things. And I believe you can click the next. So another idea we had was, because this was a really special time, we wanted to add some homage to some of the staff members that we've had. So I mean, I drew my toon as a self-insert. We drew Maya's toon, Slate Blue Rabbit, and then of course I drew Lord Loud and Clear. I decided he should be more buffer for the under new management poster, so he a little skinny. And then Dixie actually drew, Dixie, who's our other creative media coordinator, actually drew this Flippy. I hope I have more. Okay. So then these are some of the flats and work in progress that we had when we were starting to work on different elements of the poster. I am so sorry, I cannot remember everyone. It was a whole team effort. And by whole team effort, I mean we spent very last minute, unfortunately. Yeah.
I actually think Little rendered that cat.
I rendered both of them, actually.
Oh, okay. So one of the things that was really nice, so this is my example of this was a bonding moment for us. And I finally was able, like, I have a hard time of letting things go personally, and so letting go of the poster to have other people do it was such a like lifesaver. And we were really under the gun, so they all pulled through. And one of the craziest things is I think we finished this like 4 days before the convention.
Yeah. Send it off to print, pick it up the next day.
Yeah. And here's the
that's
final
the final
look.
one poster.
Coming in with it being a bonding experience, it was a very, albeit it was kind of stressful, but it was like a good kind of stressful where it was like I was able to, it was one of my first projects that I did whenever I joined the team. And along with Choopy, it was kind of fun being able to work on it with somebody that was someone new, like just like me, and along with like people who have been on the team for a while, and along with it being, oh my God, I've always loved ToonFest. I'm finally doing something I've always wanted to do.
So this one, this was actually for Gags and Gears. So one of the things I love doing professionally, I actually do graphic design for a living, but I was like, let's make a cool retro thing. So I was trying to like come up with something way different than what we normally do. So here's a logo for Welcome to Crack Up Auto Repair, and I promise this will get to art. So one of the ideas I had was actually like drawing like more of a custom like outfit design and drawing some of the carts with this cat. I'm so sorry. Lucy Tires, not cat. They have a name. So I actually got stuck here. So here's like, I was creating a poster essentially that we could like give to players with Gags and Gears as an idea. And I went to the team and I said, I have 3 options of clothing ideas because I didn't know which one to take. And they all voted and dropped in. And then our final was these. And we actually were able to reuse some of those assets to create some of the desk mat for, I keep wanting to say laptop, but the desk mats for as a prize that was at OKC this year. And this is honestly one of my favorite pieces. I love doing stuff that's like different from what we normally do. I love exploring that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and especially because it's like something like this could be an advertisement you would see in Toontown, like a billboard or something that you would see in Toontown, which is awesome.
So those are my highlights.
Oh,
wait, no, we're not done. Oh, that's right, sorry. One of the other ideas that we did was putting it on different shirts to give you guys, so you guys could get them. I am not going to remember all of the funny jokes behind the back shirt, but I remember one of the jokes that was given to us was, oh my gosh, I'm going to have a hard time reading it.
If you can't fix it, one?
Yeah, if you can't fix it,
If you can't fix it, we won't. If you
Yeah,
can't
something
fix
like
it, we won't. So now I'll just talk briefly about a couple of my highlights for brand art. So I was the artist of the Tutorial Tom card back in 2020, which is probably my favorite trading card I've ever done. My first trading card was actually the Fissionton card, but I only rendered that one. This was the first one that I actually did from sketch to render, all by myself. So I went through 3 different thumbnails of what I kind of envisioned, like Tutorial Tom showing off your first gags, him seeing the flunky through the window, and his like surprised ear animation where his ears come up in the air. And then I actually kind of picked a hybrid between number 2 and number 3, so we got both him pointing and the flunky in the window. And the first one you can see there on the left is an early version of the sketch. The middle one is the final version of the sketch, and the one on the right is the final render of the card. And I just love doing this because it was the first real piece I ever got to do fully from sketch to render, and I was very proud of it. Who's excited for ToonFest Orlando? Anybody thinking about coming to ToonFest Orlando? Perfect.
Oh my gosh,
Awesome.
there's a lot of you guys. Yay. We'll see you soon.
So I was actually the one who designed the ToonFest Orlando logo. It went through many different iterations, actually, and I'm very excited to show these because these have never been shown before. The first one there was like my first go at it, but it was way too busy. It had the sorcerer hat, it had stars, it had a rocket ship, it had the word Orlando, it had sparkles on it, it had everything. Way too much stuff. So we simplified it a little on the second version, and I actually moved the hat down so it was more sitting on top of the eyes. Removed the stars, and actually, as you can see, the original ToonFest Orlando logo had Orlando in pink, which if you saw the original blog post where we announced ToonFest Orlando, it actually was still in pink. Then we decided, what if we did away with the rocket and we just did something totally different, and we added like a Toon arm with a magic wand? So as you can see there, it's just a blank Toon arm with a black arm, and he's got the magic wand, and the wizard hat is still there. And then in the final version, we decided, what if it wasn't just a naked Toon arm, but a cloaked Toon arm? And he actually went from having his pinky out to his pinky in. And I moved the hat so it was a little bit more over top of the eyes and looked like it was sitting on top of them. We changed the text in Orlando to red, and that was the final ToonFest Orlando logo. Thank you. And then the very last thing that I want to talk about is our desktop wallpaper that we did for ToonFest The Great Fanfare back in May. This was actually not done by just me, but a wide variety of artists. But I wanted to include it just because it was my first ToonFest as art director, and it's probably my favorite piece of brand art that we've ever done. So our sketch artist Mads actually made these thumbnails, and as you can see, she did a variety of different carnival scenes, but we ended up picking the one on the top left, number 1. And this was her final sketch of that. So the tunes on the carousel. All of these tunes are actually also tunes that we pulled off of Twitter. I just went on Twitter and said, hey, for no reason in particular, who wants to send me a picture of their tune? So I added some people's tunes in there.
I feel like people are catching on when we ask that now.
Yeah. And then this actually got passed off to a variety of artists. I did a couple of the tunes. Little did a couple of the tunes. June, I think, just did the lighting and the sky atmosphere and the grass.
Yeah, I did very little.
Yeah,
I really like After Effects kind of feelings.
And then the final version came out to be this. And now we'll talk about Little's highlights.
Oh boy, oh boy. Okay, anyone that knows me personally knows that this is out of just pure bias and pure excitement. But I am such a sucker for under new management, and I was so excited. As soon as the sketch came out, I think I went to you and I was like, I want dibs right now. And you were like, okay. So this it's pretty simple, but I was just so ecstatic to work on it. It's like my all-time favorite thing that I've been able to do for a poster. And then this one, it's still the same poster, but it was a really great learning experience just to learn how Photoshop worked. Because I've done buildings before, but I've never done them as detailed as this one before. And I remember I was up till I think about 7 a.m. on call with Choopy, and shout out to Choopy. She was the one that helped me learn how to do all the brick patterns and all the light patterns and all these special layer styles that I have never thought of even attempting before, but I stayed on and I learned a lot because of this poster.
Yeah, I think Mads actually did these sketches, and that mint, I think we had to take some creative liberties on what the mint looked like, because you don't really ever get to see the full Cashbot mint. So hopefully Mads did it justice in that sketch there.
And then I believe this was rendered by,
Sketched by
Mads. Was it Mads?
Yeah.
So this was my trial piece actually, and so this is what I was given just straight off the bat. And so I had no idea I was coming into something so grandiose. And so this was something that was, again, it was a huge learning experience because I have attempted rendering in the style before, but I've never done it officially. So this was my first attempt at shading after I got through all the flats. And as you can see, if you want to go to the next slide, it's very different from how I thought, yeah, this looked pretty good, to, oh yeah, this is how it should be. And I learned a lot through Ellie, and I learned a lot through, I think Dixie also helped too, and of course June helped me out. So it was again, a really good learning experience, how to officially shade and just how to use Photoshop in general. So it means a lot to me to be able to go back to that original and be oh yeah, I changed a lot and I've learned so much from this.
So next thing that we're going to talk about, which is our last segment of this, is unused brand art that we have done. So we're going to show you some art that we haven't shown before.
Yeah. So these were some standees that we originally were going to have for ToonFest. So we wanted to do a cog and a toon standee that people could take photos with as if you were next to a real cog or a toon. So we wanted to do a loan shark as the cog, and this art is actually by one of our previous artists, Tenny, back in 2021, and she just nailed the style of that loan shark. He just has like the most devious grin, and I love that he's like asking you to sign a contract. And then I actually rendered this flippy that was going to be, I think, about like a 5 or 5.5 foot tall standee. And we ended up not using them, especially because ToonFest kind of went out on a hiatus in 2020, and then we didn't come back till 2023, and we had like greatly updated by then. But we don't really need a Flippy standee anymore because Flippy actually comes to ToonFest now. So.
I know we are running out of time, so I don't want to rush through too much, but flyer ideas. So as you have seen, you get a little bifold. Throughout the years, we have given flyers, bifolds, booklets, and these are various thumbnails that we have come up with for different ideas that we've had. So I think my favorite one is what Roger Dog created, which was the Wanted Flunky, and I believe we actually revitalized that somewhere else, and I cannot for the life of me think of it.
Is it an emote? I think it's an emote.
I think it's an emote.
No, it's actually, no, I'm thinking of Wanted of Lord Loud and Clear for some reason. I don't know why he was wanted. Maybe it was. These are postcard ideas. So back in 2020, when we were thinking of, we switched the idea to ToonFest at home. We were trying to come up with new postcard ideas, and I am a sucker for doing lighting of things that definitely are not, well, unfortunately not in game. So as you have all probably have seen, maybe not, but the top right with the duck on the cart, I wanted to create that dark atmosphere and goofy speedway, mostly because I just wanted to do cool lighting effects.
And that one actually did become a postcard. You can actually pick it up at our booth downstairs.
Ooh, okay, I'm gonna try to be quick because I know we're running out of time together tonight. So the original idea for ToonFest 2020 was Toon HQ Takeover. So we had the whole vision of what it was going to be. Toon HQ Takeover was meant to be our field office release. That was the year we wanted it, but of course plans change. So originally, I cannot remember this cat's name, but I actually went pretty far on this because this was before a lot of places started closing down, unfortunately, because of COVID. So it made it pretty far. I got to the flats. So it was originally just going to be this silly little guy with a doodle. And then, of course, we totally changed it because then we had to like quickly think on our feet of changing it to ToonFest at home. So we wanted to change the whole theme up. And then I believe around that time is when we realized that we were not going to get field offices out that year. So we didn't want to move forward with that idea and unfortunately disappoint anyone. So. These were other screenshots. So then when we were moving away before we did our actual poster, there was an idea of doing the ice cubicles. I'm really bad at this, apparently. So these are some of the thumbnails that were decided on. And then, as you can see, we started to slowly drift into that Toons hanging out with cogs at home. What is a better way to like have fun together? And then this is the one that I actually have never shared publicly. So this was also for Gags and Gears. I have never finished it, and maybe one day I'll touch it again. But the idea was to get that noir feeling from the reference on the left. But it was supposed to be Samantha Spade like running away with another Toon, like a damsel in distress almost. And for some reason, I was thinking, oh, the Legal Eagle could be so evil. And so,
would you guys want to see this as a real poster? Yeah.
You heard them. You got to finish it now.
I know. It probably would change a lot from here because I can see many improvements.
Yeah.
So this one was one that honestly I really wish that we could just do like right now, and I really like the story behind it too. One of you might have to fact check me, but I think it was who sketched
Hannah.
this? Yeah.
Hannah.
So someone went to Hannah and they were like, "Can you draw the girl boss?" And they were like, "Oh, okay." And so they came back with that. And
Wrong girl boss. It was the club president.
the second one, but still
The
counts.
short one.
And I just love how eerie it looks. I wish it could just be finished right now.
But fun fact, we actually, if you look at the under new management poster, we actually reused almost this exact clerk for the under new management poster.
Which goes back to work smarter, not harder.
Yeah.
So as we wrap up, for people who are interested in joining the team as a brand artist, one of the biggest things, first off, is you have to be 16 years or older. So all three positions actually have different requirements, but for the most part, except for sketch artists, we are looking for people who have an understanding of Photoshop and own the copy of it. So unless you're applying for sketch art, we don't work with Clip Studio, for example. And honestly, try your best with the challenge. We have a challenge where you just are trying to replicate the style. We teach you guys how to do that. So if you are nervous about you're not good enough or something, I would still submit it anyway because we look for potential. We don't look for perfection. And it's nice to know, but it's not required. A lot of these things can be taught, but experience with preparing art to get printed, since we do a lot of merchandising, and a little bit of knowledge of how to use Photoshop's vector tools and layer effects, but of course not required for sketch art position. And just really quickly, we are only looking for sketch artists and brand artists right now. We are very full in the render art department. So if you guys are interested, definitely apply. And you can ask any of the people at the Toontown booth today about how it works, how to apply, and they'll be able to help you out if that is something you're interested in.
Yeah, and if you see me, Little, or June at the booth, please feel free to ask any art-related questions or about what we do for brand art. We love what we do, and we love talking to you guys about it. And we love when you get excited about the art that we do. And that's all we have for you today.
Thank you guys so much for coming, and I hope you have a great rest of your weekend.
Yeah.